Hi folks, I'm Mark Johnson with Artisan Restoration, and I'm here at Farm America looking at some log buildings, as you can see behind me here. And I looked at in the winter, and I'm taking a second look at everything to make sure that we haven't forgotten anything in our original quote, and to see if things have deteriorated in the last 8 months, I guess. So anyway, in this is the barn on the project, and one of the things we have to do is look for rotten logs, which isn't real hard when they're this obvious. Um, so this one's going to have to be replaced. And the other thing is chinking. We've got um, chinking here that was applied to surfaces which weren't really cleaned very well, shall we say. So they've got backer foam in here to fill the space, but unless this surface is clean, like I can I can scrape off material here with my thumb, and if it's that soft, it's not good enough to put the chinking on. And as Murphy's Law would have it, when it fails, it seems to fail more so on the top side than on the bottom side. Um, and what that means is that water that's coming down the wall is going to get to this joint, and instead of going out over it like it would over here, it gets drawn into the building and it causes the deterioration of this log and all the logs below it. So um, even if this end would come loose, it's still lapped over the log like a shingle, and it isn't going to leak near as much as when the top side comes loose. Over here we've got another example of the chink failure on the top edge of the material. And as we go up the wall, we start to get more protection from the overhang, so it's not as important up there, but it doesn't get as much, because it doesn't get as much rain and sun. All that material is in better condition than the bottom half of the wall. So over here, let's see if I can get over this split rail fence. Over here we got some logs that need to be replaced, like this one here. And there's another one up there. I can't remember which one it was, but these logs are not pinned in place with wooden dowels like they do with some log homes. Barns didn't require that much attention, I guess. So when these guys dried out, they were free to bow and move whichever direction they wanted to. And now, after they're dried out, they're moving even further when, say, one of these corners starts to deteriorate, like here and here, and we start to get settlement on the logs, and that settlement starts to break loose the chinking and force it out of its place, because some of these don't have that foam behind them. Some of them have chunks of wood behind the logs that were placed in there originally, and those don't absorb the movement like backer foam does, for example. So when settlement occurs, then it just pop right. The other reason for chink failure on this building is there's a lot of areas where the bark was left on, and eventually that bark comes off. Even if they were cut in the winter, the bark stays on pretty good if the logs were cut in the wintertime. But that's 100 and some years ago. I think the sign says that this is an example of a barn or a farmstead from the 1850s. So if that's the case, these logs probably have the bark falling off no matter when they were cut, what time of the year. Over here on the east side, we got a little more widespread chink failure. We got a squirrel living up there in that one, but it's far enough up under the eave so it's not causing the log to get wet, and the squirrel's staying dry. But down here we've got some issues with some logs. And here's an example of one of those chunks of wood that was put in by the original builders, and it wasn't replaced with backer foam. So as this log starting to settle, it's pushing these wood chunks, these wood backers, out of position. And that's probably what's happening with the bottom one here. But this bottom log is actually just a filler log. It's not dovetailed into the corner or attached at all, and I recommend that probably get replaced with a row of stonework, because it's way too close to the ground in the first place, and that they don't hold up well. This pile of rocks on the front here should really be pulled away, because what they're doing is trapping moisture against the bottom log over here, and of course that's not good. This log here looks like it's actually below grade at this point, and I'm sure that the condition of that one is not very good. Let's take a quick look inside as long as I'm here, and it's not locked, and you can see what the inside looks like. This is a pretty cool floor made of rounds of logs that are just embedded in the soil, and there's a kind of a crude feeder for the cattle, because they would have the hay stored upstairs, and they would simply throw it down and feed the animals here. And then we got some ox yokes there. So all these areas here where you see this powder, that's due to powder post beetles. And the administrator here said that they're going to have Orkin come out and fumigate the entire building to kill those guys off, so they won't be doing any further damage on to the logs. And anyhow, I guess that's about it. The structure's got some log floor joists in it, which go all the way through the wall to the outside, and those could be responsible for a little moisture intrusion also, but they're high enough up so where the amount of rain coming in there isn't going to be very great. So anyway, that's the assessment of the log barn at Farm America. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye.